Hello and welcome. Today the topic is cancer. Is cancer caused by parasites? And we're going to look at some research, some new research that's coming out that is showing how antimicrobial herbs show great promise in treating and preventing cancer. And also, I've talked about this before, but anti-parasitic drugs also are really showing to be promising new up-and-coming treatments for cancer. If we haven't met, my name is Pam Bartha, and I'm the author of Become a Wellness Champion and the founder of Live Disease Free. This is all very important to me because I was once diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is an incurable disease, and I was told there was no hope for me. And I learned that it was caused by chronic infections in the body, and as we treat them, we recover. And now we've been serving people for over 20 years in many different countries, helping them, thousands of people, to recover from all kinds of chronic diseases caused by parasitic infestations. So today the topic is about cancer because this is such a huge deal. There are so many people that are coming down with cancer, and I'm not saying we have all the answers. I'm just pointing you to the right direction of understanding how this research can really potentially impact treatment, prevention, recovery from cancer, which is so incredibly exciting. Cancer is the leading cause of death in Canada, which is crazy, and it's the second leading cause of death in the United States. If you just look at one type of cancer, which is colorectal cancer, that kills almost 1 million people per year. So at least $900,000 people per year. And so a lot of people more so are dealing with cancer and dying from cancer than diseases like multiple sclerosis. So it is a huge problem in society. And the costs of cancer treatment are astronomical. They are not sustainable for our countries. Right now, when we have early detection from this type of cancer, actually the colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer in men and women. And it's the third most common in men and the second in women. And early detection helps with all cancers, but in most cases, it's still discovered too late. And then when that happens, then our survival rate drops significantly down to less than 20%. Estimates are about 14 to 16%. So really horrible outlook. So what can we do? Is there anything that we could do to be proactive? We know that diet is really important and lifestyle is very important, but I personally in my own life know people that had no risk factors for cancer. They were the one in the family that was exercising and eating healthy, and they're the ones that came down with cancer. So there's more to it. There's a lot more to it. We're going to talk about that today. So this natural untapped power of herbs in treating or helping us to recover from cancer is really, really interesting. So modern medicine gives us things like chemotherapy and surgery and radiation, but those treatments, those therapies, they come with a lot of costs and a lot of adverse effects. And so this is why researchers are now starting to look at other options. So this is why they're looking at the parasite drugs and looking at the antimicrobial herbs and essential oils. And the science is showing really, really promising results. So the thing is to know that many of these herbs, they don't just support the body, they also help to fight cancer. And they're targeting infections, and that's a big thing, is that, like, why are they helping cancer? Well, these herbs have very powerful antimicrobial properties, meaning that they are like natural medicines against pathogenic microbes, or parasites we like to call them. So they're very powerful, and this is just the herbs and the essential oils also. Let's talk about a few of them. So you may have heard of turmeric. and that helps to reduce inflammation in the body. And it also has been shown in science to destroy cancer cells and even to help make chemotherapy more effective. Lemongrass is another antimicrobial herb that helps to it helps cancer cells to self-destruct, and that process is called it's interesting. I know the word, but I can't seem to say it right now. It's basically the destruction of cells. And the black seed also is another antimicrobial herb, and that also helps to stop tumor growth, and it reduces chemo side effects. Oregano, some of you may know of oregano. You can buy that in health food stores. It's a compound. It also targets colon cancer cells. So there's also myrrh, sage, artemisia, which is wormwood, and also yarrow is another herb. So these herbs, they help to reduce inflammation, protect DNA, and also to stop cancer from multiplying. Wild garlic, so garlic, we know wild garlic, but also other garlic, incredibly anti-cancer properties, and lemon balm slows down the tumor growth and protects healthy cells from damage. So the key here is that why are these antimicrobial herbs so helpful? It is because because we believe, and this research is really showing that, and this has not been proven, I'm not saying this has been proven yet, but that cancer is caused by infections, that cancer is an infectious disease. That would really help us to make sense of why antimicrobial herbs and also the parasite drugs are so helpful in treating cancer. So this is something, and it's just like what we talk about with multiple sclerosis. There's so much evidence showing that MS is an infectious disease. There's so much evidence showing that cancer and all autoimmune are infectious diseases. And that would help us to understand why these antimicrobial herbs and parasite drugs are so helpful in having anti-cancer properties. So these plants are doing much more than killing cancer. They're also antimicrobial, meaning that they are killing bacteria, fungi, small worms, and also protozoa that are all parasites. Another really important factor that really confirms or helps to build the case that cancer is an infectious disease is that sugar feeds cancer, and sugar feeds parasites. So some people would say, well, viruses cause cancer. Well, viruses are not living. They do not need food. They do not care if we eat sugar or not. But boy, if we eat a lot of sugar, that feeds cancer. This is known in science that sugar feeds cancer. And we know also in science that for parasites, sugar, simple carbohydrates, they are the favorite source of energy for parasites. So that's another huge indication that cancer is an infectious disease. And also that, if sugar doesn't impact viruses, then probably viruses are not going to be the main cause of cancer. So this whole effect of that cancer cells can consume glucose up to 20 times faster than healthy cells, that is called the Warburg effect. Again, this is all shown in science. So viruses, they're not living, so they do not need sugar, and they will not benefit from sugar. And it's known, like you can go on YouTube and you can look for TED Talks talking about how helpful low-carb diets are for cancer. That has been shown in studies also, confirmed that when patients, they lower their sugar intake, they lower their carbohydrate intake tremendously, that tumors actually slow down their growth. And actually in some of our students, we've seen students have reported that their tumors started to shrink. That can happen also. And a low-carb diet, it doesn't hurt the chemotherapy. It actually makes the chemotherapy work better. So again, if cancer is an infectious disease, it's caused by parasites. And then if we decrease the food to these parasites and they're less active, they're suffering, and then you hit them with chemotherapy, the chemo is going to work better because they are not as strong. They are not as active. So that's yet more evidence that cancer is an infectious disease. And the antimicrobial and antiparasitic connection is really, really huge. It's fascinating. And so there are various types of parasites that have been linked to cancer in science already. So we know that some of the cancers have been linked to different types of infections, different types of parasites, but we haven't discovered that all of them have been. So maybe they all are. So for example, with fungi, bacteria, protozoa, and worms, if we look at things like cancers of the bladder, that has been linked to parasites, and also cancer of the bile duct, the stomach, and the colon. Another thing that's huge linking cancers to being caused by parasites is the fact that many different types of parasite drugs have very strong anti-cancer properties. They are very effective at treating cancers. I did a talk on this. You can just look for live disease free, and then you can just do a Google search, live disease free and parasites cause cancer, something like that. You'll pull up that article that I did, the blog post, and there you will see a lot of research on several different types of parasite drugs, like not only, but these are a few: albendazole, ivermectin, fenbendazole, and others. They are now showing amazing results against cancer cells, and they are being considered as promising treatments for treating cancer, which is crazy. So these are like old drugs that have been around for decades. They've lost their patent. I wonder if once they give these drugs a new purpose, sometimes they can create a new patent and then the price of these drugs go up significantly, but they shouldn't, because they're very old drugs. They've been used for decades, and they're very safe if used properly, if prescribed properly. So they block the cancer's ability to grow, and even they make, again, chemotherapy drugs work better. So if somebody's doing chemo and they're working with their doctor and the doctor is giving them parasite medications, the chemotherapy drug works better. I wonder if they weren't using the chemotherapy drug, if the parasite drugs would work just as well. That would be really good for studying. But the problem is that there is a really big problem, that these parasite drugs, these antimicrobial herbs, they are not patentable. They are very inexpensive. So this is why they're not being studied aggressively. This is why we're not moving forward with this. And so that's why most of this research never reaches mainstream standard of care. So why these therapies are not mainstream? So the truth is that the cancer care industry is massive. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars per year. Hundreds of billions of dollars per year. So if that is the case, then why would they want to? And I'm not saying that this is intentional, but I'm just saying that if you're a company and you're having really good profits, why would you study something? Why would you try to find a cure that's really cheap and effective, that is going to kill your company? Like, of course, you're not going to invest in that. Governments don't have money to invest. So who is going to move this forward? Who is going to advocate for the cancer patients? This is the real dilemma that we are in our healthcare system right now. So one chemotherapy drug can cost over $100,000 per patient per year. And this is true even with multiple sclerosis. It can be, for one MS patient, the MS drugs can be over $100,000 per year also. Meanwhile, herbs and parasite drugs, they're like really cheap, especially the herbs. The parasite drugs are quite cost effective also. like you're talking about maybe for one treatment cycle of one parasite drug, it might be $75 to $100 for 10 to 14 days of treatment. So that's a big far cry from, depending on which drug they're using for however long, but at like $100,000 a year, that's insanely different. So this is a really, really big problem that we have, that these parasite drugs, herbs, they are not profitable. So nobody is going to research and host or hold these huge, large human trials that are needed to approve using herbs and parasite drugs for treating cancer. So we're really stuck in this very difficult position. So again, most of the research is paid by the pharmaceutical companies, not independent scientists, because it costs money to research this. And standard of care treatment for cancer in the developed countries, we have to follow a very specific protocol. And that right now is using these expensive chemotherapy drugs and surgery and radiation. And if a doctor steps out of that, they can be in deep trouble. They can end up risking their license. So it is a very tightly regulated, and in some ways it is good to have some regulation. You definitely don't want people that are using all kinds of treatments that are not safe, but then there is this balance where, are we suppressing cures because of the way that our healthcare system is right now? I would say yes. I would say that our healthcare system is not equipped to allow cures to come to the forefront. All right, so sadly, many of these patients that are dealing with cancer, they don't even know that parasite drugs are helpful against different types of cancers. They don't even know about these antimicrobial herbs and essential oils, how helpful they can be, even in conjunction with standard cancer treatments, or, if a doctor, or depending on which country, uses integrative approach, we don't know because we're not allowed to go in that direction. So could cancer be an infectious disease? Well, there is a lot of evidence showing that it is. This is something that needs to be studied further. And so again, it's already known that nearly 1 in 5 cancers worldwide is caused by infections, by parasites. So it's not like a big stretch. It's just like, are all of them then caused by parasites? If, 5 of the major ones are, then who knows? I would argue probably, because now we've gone decades and decades of studying and researching and trying to figure out like the cure for cancer. I don't even know I think they're still talking about, for MS, they're not even talking about a cure anymore. But after decades and decades of research, and I don't even know how many millions, billions of dollars in research, we still don't have a cure. We're still no closer. We still have the same cancer treatments. And yet all of this other research is being ignored, which is really awful. But science is starting to catch up, and I'm starting to see little glimmers of hope, which is awesome. And the infection model of cancer is starting to gain more and more support. So the power of an integrative healthcare approach is really what we need to recover from cancer and other types of chronic diseases. So it's not just about rejecting what we're doing, it's about truly allowing the best treatments to bubble up to the surface and allowing the best research and the best treatments to help us to find a cure. So sometimes it's to enhance existing treatments. Sometimes it's to really reduce the adverse effects of the existing treatments, the existing standard of care, and to help us to recover more quickly, to treat us more effectively, to have better outcomes, and to really improve our quality of life. And we can't just forget about all the other important things like nutrition and lifestyle and activity and balance, and all of these things are important. And that, in combination of treating the cause and understanding what is truly causing cancer, is how we're going to find a cure. So the big picture is that antimicrobial herbs, in science, they're being shown that they really help to, they're very effective anti-cancer agents, and so are anti-parasitic drugs. And then also low sugar, low carbohydrate diets have been shown in science to really help support recovery and treatment and recovery. So this is really a powerful root cause approach. And that's everything that we talk about in Live Disease Free is let's treat the root cause. And if we can figure out what the root cause is and we're going down to just dealing with what's causing it, then we have the greatest quality of life, the greatest quality of health when we recover. So what kind of practical steps can we take if we're dealing with cancer? Obviously, run this all by your doctor. I am not a practitioner. I am literally just sharing science. I'm sharing research. Apoptosis, that's the word I was tongue twisted on, and that is cell death. So number one, limit your sugar if you're dealing with cancer or any type of autoimmune MS. Limit your sugar. Go to eating whole foods. Look at our Live Disease Free diet on our website. It's free under research, and look at the guidelines and bring in like lots of low carb, healthy vegetables. If you are someone with inflammatory bowel disease, then you eat the vegetables that agree with you and cook them. You'll be fine then, but don't eat raw vegetables if you have inflammatory bowel disease. So number one is to get your carbs down. You may notice just dramatic improvements in how you're feeling. You may find that the cancer is starting to slow down because you're not feeding the cause, and that is really important. So that's the first step. And of course, building a healthy lifestyle. I share all the steps that we take in the Live Disease Free plan, which we recover from cancer and other chronic diseases also. You can go through all those steps. Those are all the healthy living, balancing your life, activity, changing your diet, supporting your nutrition, supporting your physiology, making sure your detox pathways are open, daily bowel movements, sleeping well at night. But it doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars. Those things, they don't. That's really about making changes in your life and really supporting your recovery. And then talking to your practitioners, maybe it's an integrated practitioner, talking to them about you'll see my blog post. It's always published on livediseasefree.com. You'll be able to just read over it. You can share it with other people. You can share it with your practitioners. But start to learn about the different antimicrobial herbs. Start to do a little bit of research on different types of parasite drugs that are helpful for certain cancers. Talk to your practitioner about it. See if they will integrate this into your treatment plan so that it really increases your rate of recovery, it decreases adverse effects, and it also helps you to recover faster. And then be really open-minded. Healing comes when we look beyond a standard path. That's what saved my life when I was just 28 years old and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I was told there was nothing I could do to change the course of my life, that I would be completely disabled in time. Well, by the grace of God and a lot of work on my part, I learned about these infections through trial and error. I didn't have a coach. We do have a nice plan now that you can follow. It's step by step. But I just, it took many years of trial and error to get to the place where I have been able to live MS-free now for 36 years, which is so incredible. Now I raised my family, and now it's all about enjoying my grandkids and my husband and just, loving outdoors and animals. And it would have been a very different life if I would not have learned all of this. So this could be you too, but you have to be open. You have to be searching. You don't settle for what you're being told. Like if it's like, oh, you've got 6 months to live, I can't make any promises, but all I know is if you treat the root cause, there's great hope. There is so much hope. And I hear this every time I talk with new people. It's like, I've tried everything. I've tried supplements. I've tried diets. I've tried all of these different types of, therapies, and I'm still sick. I've never tried to treat parasites. So if you suspect that maybe what I'm saying is true, you can even watch my masterclass training, and on that training, you're going to see all the steps we take to recover from chronic disease. This is holistic. This, again, does not replace the necessary measures of your healthcare provider. It really helps everything to work better. And then talk to your practitioner about the antimicrobial herbs, about possibly incorporating parasite drugs. If you're not happy with what your doctor is saying, see if you can get a second opinion. See if you can find another practitioner that is a little bit more integrative, that's a little bit more open. But that is your answer. That is the hope, is treating the root cause. So we are truly entering a new era of understanding what is causing cancer and other chronic diseases, including multiple sclerosis. And it really looks like microbes, parasitic chronic infections in our body, a parasitic infestation is really at the root cause, and the poisons that they produce for sure. And the immune system needs help. So we need to protect our immune system, we need to support it, and we need to treat the root cause. So if you enjoy what I have shared with you, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I will be, and just also type your questions in the Q&A box. Let me know what you think about this research. Go to our website, livediseasefree.com. Within the next 3 or 4 days, it will be posted on our blog. You can scan the notes, you can share it with practitioners, you can do your own due diligence digging. And I hope this really blesses you. I hope this gives you hope. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like this content that I'm sharing with you. And then also make sure to watch the masterclass training if you feel that you're dealing with parasites and you don't have a lot of people in your life that are practitioners that know a lot about it and are willing to support you or know how to support you. You'll learn a lot from my masterclass. And if you need support, reach out. We'd love to support you. So with that, I'll let you go. Take care. Bye-bye for now.